I have covered, and kept an eye on what's going on in Conservative Home for some time. And every so often, really going back 2 or 3 years now at this point, there was an article every so often that would pop up. And it would pop up and say, okay, guys, we're having a serious problem attracting young people because we are not offering them policies that are going to get people to vote for us. And these people were treated like the Cassandras of Greek mythology. Ha! There they are, wailing away as if, there's this massive problem coming, but we're in power. We've had a massive, amazing win in 2019. There's no possible way we could ever lose, right, guys? Yep, here we are, covering the Conservative leadership race, which is about to descend into absolutely brutal gladiatorial pit fighting. You've got a party who cannot even agree on a single reason why they lost. And you've got candidates who are coming forward for a leadership contest who, well, I don't think they could govern themselves out of a paper bag, to be honest. But that's the current state of the Conservative Party. But every so often, there are a couple of people who come out and, they say the occasional right thing of, well, we need to focus on young people. Now, the article we're going to go through in Conservative Home, bear in mind, does say we need to focus on young people, and that's what we're going to focus on. But his suggestion of how they focus on young people is to offer some sort of neo-Thatcherism, and somehow that's going to attract young people to vote Conservative. And bear in mind, when they say young people, they mean people under 40. So that's the demographic they know that they are losing, because consistently, as we've seen over time, normally people would switch to Conservative as they got older. That has been happening now less and less and less and less. And in today's article, you will see this guy bring up this fact that, once again, they are ignoring. So, as always, the Conservative Party is in constant, crazy cruise control disaster mode. And I'm loving every single moment of it, to be honest. And, long may it continue. Long may it continue on this. So anyway, let's crack on into this then, shall we? So, as always, before we do get into this, by the way, Patreon page down below, buy me a coffee link where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Pony Club down below. And of course, do remember to click the like and share button. So, this article is by Neil Gardner, and he was the Conservative candidate for Hampstead-Berkhamsted at the recent general election. And oh boy, is he wailing again to the masses. Please pay attention on this. So, when I lost Hampton and Berkhamsted on the 4th of July, I garnered 16,574 votes. Now, research suggests that over 2,800 of those who voted for me earlier this month will not vote Tory at the next general election. Not because of any policy or scandal, but because they will be dead. The Conservative Party is facing a demographics crisis, and none of them are really talking or even engaging about this. And you'd think they'd be maybe having a look at this, maybe trying to tackle this, but they ain't. So, continues. This is a very sobering statistic for Conservative survivors. Some 17% of those who voted Tory this time will have died by the time the MPs face the electorate again. And according to the analytics from Focaldata, I think that's how you say it, that is at least 1.2 million fewer Tory votes lost purely as a result of demography. And that's 1 in 6 of the total Tory vote will no longer be with us by 2029. Why? Because it all goes back to David Cameron. David Cameron focused heavily on the older Conservative vote. Theresa May almost lost her election in 2017 because it was about the row over the pensioners' heating allowance. And all that caused the Conservatives to do, time and time again, is double down on that. And yet, they are now losing those voters, as was said here, not because of policy or scandal, but because they are dying. And you would think that that would be a major issue, that was something that they have to seriously tackle if they are going into the 2029 election and 1.2 million fewer Tory voters will be alive. That's a lot of votes. 1.2 million fewer Tory voters at the 2029 general election. That is incredibly significant. But we go on to this. Meanwhile, Labour gained around 300,000 voters as another cohort of young people then turned 18. That means the Conservative Party will lose another 34 seats at the next election, taking it down to well below 100 MPs. And I really do think, and I've said this before, I think the inheritors of the doomed Conservative Party will be the Liberal Democrats. They will take on, I think, the more moderate Tories. Because the Liberal Democrats have always been very, very much so economically, when it comes to sort of economics, they are very sort of right-wing centrists on that. They've been very mirrored a lot of the Tory right-wing centrists where they are on that front. And that's how they've won many of their seats. They have candidates who, pivot to Labour in certain seats, or they pivot to the Conservatives in others. I think they are going to gain a lot of votes in the next election. I think they are going to have a lot more seats in 2029. I really do. I think they are going to inherit a lot. I really think they are. Meanwhile, of course, the Conservatives and Reform are going to be fighting with each other because, I'll tell you what, the upcoming leadership contests by 2029, and I do think by 2029, we will have had multiple leadership contests. The right-wing vote by 2029 is going to be split very dramatically along that. So this is just so much. And he goes on to talk about, this is, oh yeah, he was at his Conservative AGM and there is no one under 40 at his local Conservative AGM. He is the youngest and he's a 50-something. That says a lot of it. That says a lot of over that. That is massively on that front. And then he goes to talk about Onward, about the 25 to 40-year-olds who are, quote, shy capitalists, who want lower taxes, over redistributing wealth. Again, not really, coming through in the data. I don't know how Onward sort of came to that sort of conclusion when they got that. Oh, they're just shy capitalists. Not when you look at the more data where we are seeing bigger calls for sort of wealth redistribution from a lot of the aging young, this sort of the 25 to 40 demographic is becoming more and more predominant. Lower taxes. Well, as we've always said, if you're going to lower taxes from a government point of view, what is the government going to no longer do or provide as much of? And this, once again, turns people off the lower tax argument. So again, goes on to talk about on this, talking about the green belt, going into sort of NIMBYism. Young people hate NIMBYism, so I can't believe he wants to attract people. He wants to get people on board for more NIMBYism. You know, good luck to that. But of course, we come back to here. Immediately, first comment, oh, for heaven's sake, you hit the nail right on the head about the problem. Absolutely right. Then you fixated on the green belt, the ultimate old NIMBY session. Nobody under 60 cares. What young people want is a home. Old conservatives' obsessions with planning rules that aim to keep us in the 1950s are the reason they haven't got one. Give up already and get some actual young people in. Don't say what young people need is a better strident. Yeah, another one. If a Tory government, as the author suggests, will of course be to the advantage of the rich and the landlords who then dominate the party, lease form reform, which was junked on the say-so of 90 Tory MPs who are landlords. Yep. Definitely something that Labour should, I think, be visiting as well. Someone else. I live in this constituency. Its predecessor seats were now extremely safe Conservative over 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, with at least a 15,000 majority. Although this was a very significant down from the days of Peter Lilly, this is because much of the population are now fairly affluent, well-educated, home country business people, and hence now natural Conservatives. However, being business people, they always understood the damage that Brexit would do. And this is the prime reason why 15,000 Conservative majority now flipped to 11,000 Lib Dem majority. A pattern now repeating across the home countries. More broadly, Labour and the Lib Dems will be able to use the Tories are the party of Brexit line for decades. David Cameron's short-term party management decision back in 2015 will haunt everyone for a very long time. Yep. Someone else here. This article started off well, but then rapidly went down into its own death spiral. Having diagnosed the problem, there is absolute proposals about what to do other than to plead to the non-pensioners and the monetary now self-interest. Where are all the proposals about the environment, to develop infrastructure, to build multicultural society? If all Conservatives have to offer the young is the same thing that they offered pensioners, it shows absolutely no understanding of the very different set of priorities. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier on. So we need to listen to young people, and the answer is Thatcherism, which is now deeply unpopular amongst the young. Those who had graduated since 2008 have seen that over time it leads to wealth and opportunity being concentrated in the fewer and fewer hands. Deregulation of house building is one area where Toryism and the young could align, and one area this author rules out. So you see, they are capable of having that conversation. They are capable of having that conversation within the party. But the people who they are calling thought leaders, like that guy who went, oh yeah, we need to be careful about this big problem of demographics. You know, we're going to lose a big chunk of our votes. But yeah, the green belt, we need to keep this. So once again, NIMBYism, the order of the day in the Conservative Party, which young people absolutely hate. So, as always, let me know what you think down below. Like I say, I've seen many of these articles over the years from Conservative Home well, for the past couple of years, and they haven't been listened to. And once again, I don't think this guy will listen to either. Starts off pointing out some very, harsh home truths for the Conservatives. You're going to lose 1.2 million voters through death, essentially, not because of policies or scandals, but to death. And yet you want to attract more young people to your party. Again, not going to work. Not going to work. The Tory party is really in a death spiral, a incredible death spiral that is going to be very hard to come out from. And I'll tell you what, whoever becomes the next leader, they ain't going to be leader for long. I think by 2029, we will have had 2 leadership elections, if you include this one. I think we'll have had 2, maybe even 3 Conservative leadership elections by the time of the next general election. So, as always, let me know what you think down below in the comments. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.